I got any snot running down my mustache there. Tastes good. That's good, dude. Oh my God. Look at that thing. Oh God. Yes. Holy crap. Look at that. Just like that, the day changes. A lot of people think when it's cold outside, you gotta slow down. That's actually not entirely true. As a matter of fact, the colder it gets, probably the more I move around. I use faster baits. I use things that are moving. I actually try to cover more water when it's colder. That probably seems counterproductive, but it's really not if you think about it. So a lot of people will tell you, you know, when it's cold water, that's always going to depend on where you're from. Slide you guys a little bit closer. That's always going to depend on where you're from, what's cold. For my area of the country, in South Carolina, the East Coast, I'm calling cold water 55 degrees and below. And a lot of times people talk about throwing slow stuff, big jigs, stuff like that, drop shots. And that stuff does work, but here's the beauty about cold water. A lot of times during the colder times of the year, we're getting more rainfall. We have a drawdown on the lakes, which exposes a lot of the red bank. And when we get a lot of rainfall, that actually makes the water a lot more muddy. See where I'm going with that? When the water's muddy, it positions fish to be a lot more shallow. And when they're shallow, it allows me to use some of the baits that I like to really throw. This guy right here, spinnerbait. Probably one of my favorite cold water baits of all time. Spinnerbait to catch them any time of the year. You already know that. You see me fish it a lot of times in my videos in the fall and the spring. Anytime fish are feeding on shad, which that's just about any time they're feeding on shad, this guy will catch them. Wintertime, you see this is actually a big spinnerbait, a 3/4 ounce. The reason I like a spinnerbait, spinnerbait's just a good bait because I'm throwing a big one, and I'm not throwing a big one because I'm really thinking about fishing like big bulky baits. It has nothing to do with it. I'm throwing a big one because I like to maintain bottom contact. So if I'm trying to fish a spinnerbait fairly fast in 5, 6, 7, 8 foot of water, I need that weight to keep it down there on the bottom. So the spinnerbait is a good way to cover water, especially in stained water. If you got stained water and fish are in that 6 to 0 foot zone, hard to beat those spinnerbait. And don't let anybody tell you that those spinnerbait won't catch them when it's cold. Some of my biggest bags come on a spinnerbait when it's very cold outside and the water's in the 40s. It'll still catch them, I promise you. Dude, oh my freaking God, that's a freaking giant, dude. Woo! That's a freaking giant, dude. Did you see his mouth? Oh my God. God almighty, dude. Where's my crankbait? Where is my crankbait? Dude, look at the crankbait! Look at the freaking crankbait! To get it out. Dude, I was rolling that crankbait by them rocks, and it just goes doing. Right there. Oh, when it's cold like this, you go from being like freezing to death to all of a sudden like I'm almost sweating inside. He's dripping. Let me at least clean. By far, cranking is probably my favorite shallow water, cold water technique ever. If the water's in the 50s at all, even if it's in the 40s, and as cold as the upper 30s, we do get some water here in the Carolinas in the upper 30s. When you get water in the upper 30s, a medium diving crankbait, and what I'm calling a medium diver is those plugs. It's sort of like, in my mind, you have shallow diving crankbaits, and within the realm of shallow diving crankbaits, you have different subcategories. You got square bills, which are true shallow water crankbaits. There are ones like this that the Ketchco, this is a Ketchco shiver crank, gets in that 5, 6, 7 foot range, which I still call shallow diving crankbaits, but it's sort of like I guess you can call it a medium diver, but I still have a little bit of hesitation calling it a medium diver. To me, a medium diver is going to be in that 10 to 12 foot range. But that's always relative to where you are, what part of the country you're from, and what you normally throw. But for me, this is more like a medium diving shallow crankbait. 4 to 6 foot range. When fish are in that range, and the water's anywhere from the upper 30s to the mid 50s, I can promise you can catch a fish on a crankbait. That's a big one. I mean a freaking tank, dude. Dude, I mean a slob. Oh my God, watch out. Oh my God. Look at that big old nasty thing. Come here, come here, come here, come here, come here. I can't get my head in his mouth. God. Ah! Yes! Yes! Look at that! Look at that thing, dude! Ooh! Ooh! Rain, wind, they're calling for 6 feet of snow in South Carolina. One thing I don't think a lot of people realize is the colder it gets, you wouldn't think so, but the shallower fish will go. The reason being is, once the water temperature is bottomed out in the wintertime, they're not going to go deeper where there's no light penetration and where there's no chance at all in 35, 40 feet of that water warming up. While there is a school of fish that lives deep like that, there's also a school of fish that stays shallow. And there's big groups of fish in shallow, cold water because that's going to be the first water to warm up, and fish have to use a lot less energy to chase forage in shallow water. Would you rather try to chase me down in a small 10 by 10 room, or would you like to chase me down in a big 200 by 200 warehouse? It's starting to make sense now. I really have a sweet spot in my heart for those crankbaits to get in the 4 to 6 foot range. Like this one right here. This is in any kind of shad color, reds or chartreuses. That's about all I use this time of the year. Ketchco Shiver Crank is one that stays high on the rank. This is the Bill Lewis MR6, and my custom color that you can get off my website. We're sold out of it right now, but hopefully we'll get a few more. This is called Hot Wings right here. It's a color I designed myself. And also, you can't forget the old square bill. Square bill works all times of the year, but especially when they get in that 4 foot and less, when you've got rocks, wood, and 4 foot or less. Just because it's cold, don't think they won't chase down a square bill crankbait in shallow water. They're always eating shad, all right? They're always eating shad, and that's what a square bill crankbait is. It's just a small shad, so I can promise you, you don't have to worry about it. They'll bite this when it's cold too. Yeah, I need a trade. There he is. It's a good one too. It's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh yeah. Got rid of him. Got rid of him just like that.
Just like that.
No.
Sure just did, didn't it?
That is a 3 pounder, I think. Let's see here. 306. Just because it's cold doesn't mean you have to slow down. As a matter of fact, you probably can start to go just as fast or as fast as you've been fishing all year long. What I mean by that is your retrieve, you may have to slow your trolling motor down and actually fish structure more intently sometimes, but the baits you use, you can reel them just as fast, you can be just as erratic as you've been all year long, possibly even more erratic. Don't get it confused, you ain't got to slow down just because it's cold. You don't have to throw jigs, you don't have to throw little small baits. When the water's cold, the fish are in good position to bite baits that are fun to fish, not just dragging something around on the bottom.